What is up, everybody? It is good to be back in the studio, and today we are going to figure out what to do with this monstrosity that we've created in the past few episodes. I know exactly what we're going to do is we're going to output these sounds, which let's just get a taste of this real quick. So that's a little taste of what this sounds like at the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to output all these sounds into different outputs inside of Reaktor so that I can actually set it up to record the drums on different tracks, to record the synth sounds on different tracks. So that way it's actually it's useful from a mixing perspective. So there's certainly nothing wrong with recording this as just a stereo file if you just want to sort of mix how it sounds and get all that working right here within Reaktor. You could certainly do that. I would rather, because I'm working on this for a song, I would rather get the individual sounds out of these blocks. And the the best way to do that is to jump over here into the audio block, audio out, and we're just going to hit the add button. Bang. And we're going to do that a couple of times, just add a few different outputs. I think that might be enough. If we need more, we'll add more. But essentially, what this is doing is adding additional outputs in this audio out block. And if you mouse over the outputs, it'll tell you what it is. It's plug in out on this third one and fourth one that I created, starting with the third one. It's audio out, bus 2, channel 1. Okay, so this must be bus 1, right? So if I delete these wires for now and get them out of the way. Yes, bus 1, channel 2. So bus 1, channel, starting with number 1, bus 1, channel 1, bus 1, channel 2, bus 2, channel 1, bus 2, channel 2. So what does that mean? That means I can come over here into my DAW and I can select specific inputs from those outputs in the plugin. And that's the really special thing. So I'm gonna set up, let's see, I'm gonna set up a couple of mono tracks and a stereo audio track. I'll call the first one the kick. I'll call the second one the snare, and I'll just call the stereo track the synth. And I'll just hit, let's see, they're all audio. Yeah, that's what I want. I hit create. And I can jump into the input of each of these tracks and I can say plugin. Oh, okay. Insert A. Oh, okay. There it is. Number 2, number 3. So I think we're actually, in order to get, because you can just output this, instrument track to an audio track, and that will record the outputs 1 and 2, essentially. So outputs 1 and 2 are already routed through the standard routing in your DAW, essentially. So, the way I set this up in Pro Tools, it might be a bit different if you're using a different DAW, but for Pro Tools, I'm just setting this up on an instrument track. And so this is where MIDI would typically get recorded on this Reaktor track. And then I can choose the output of that to send it to an audio track. But what I'm trying to do is actually split it down and break it down into multiple things. So I'm going to use bus 2, channel 1, and channel 2 for the kick and snare. So that's going to be plugin, Reaktor, bus channel 1. I'm sorry, bus 2, channel 1, and which is called left on here, and then bus 2, channel 2, which is called right. And then I will set that stereo instance to, now that number 2 is being used, to Reaktor 3. And that'll just capture the 2 additional outputs here. So I'll just add them real quick. Bang. Hit the add button a couple times. And that is bus 3, channel 1, bus 3, channel 2. So that's going to be synth and these two are going to be the kick and snare. So let's find that. So this is snare coming into the drum mixer. This is kick coming into the drum mixer. So I'd love to get this plate sound out of here as well. So we'll figure out maybe adding some additional outputs here to capture that. But for now, let's go ahead and set up this output from the kick to go into where we intend it right there, which is, again, bus 2, channel 1. So then we got channel 2 right there. So we'll grab the snare sound and send that into bus 2, channel 2. Now let's go ahead and input monitor these tracks and just make sure and see if we got some sounds. And boom, that's set up. That's as set up as it's ever gonna get. So that's pretty easy. In a matter of moments, we've got the kick and snare sound isolated out of these reactor blocks. Now we can grab the synth sounds. So where are those? Pretty sure we got a few different synth sounds going into this mixer. So let's see this mixer. Yeah, because this is the VCA. So here's VCA. It's got this, which is coming from the wavetable, going into that first input on the VCA. I'm just trying to remember what all I did here. I don't remember what I did. And then this wavetable right here, which that should be a purple color, because that I try to color code that for audio. So that's audio coming out of the wavetable there. Then that's going into input 2 on that VCA. And then this PD oscillator going into input 3. And then we got this synth, and that's just going. And so then we've got just the synth by itself, because it's basically it's pre-built with the ability to have envelope and sort of gating and whatnot. All that stuff is kind of already built in right into this one block, which is pretty sweet. So it doesn't need to go into the VCA. It just goes directly to the mixer. So this is the mixer, and then here we go. And that's going into the mixer here. It's not going through the plate. It could be. Could figure that out if we want, or get another isolated plate just for the synth sounds. But all right, just tracking down what all I've done. The mixer output here, and then the vintage plate is there. Okay, so that's how that's being mixed. Is the drum mixer is going into input 1, the plate's going into 2 and 3 stereo, and then the synth into input 4. So we'll grab the mixer right here at the end. It's just, it's actually built pretty well. I happen to know the guy that built it. It's yours truly. I'm just sticking around. But we grab that, and now let's input monitor the synth, and we should have some sounds going into that too. Yeah. It's hot as fuck. It's hot as fuck. So we might want a way to gain stage that, to control that. So what could we use? If we jump into Reaktor and just click into the interface and hit the enter key, now we can start searching for stuff, and I'll say TOYBOX Nano. How about just Nano? There we go. TOYBOX is 2 words. Nano fader. Let's see. That will control the volume, but that won't necessarily fade the audio going through it. Let's see. The crossfader. We could also just grab a mixer and just have dedicated mixers for the sound, so that we can properly gain stage it coming out. And that's what we ultimately want to do, is we want to be able to control the sound so that we can get a proper level going into Pro Tools. So we'll just say Nano And then what am I looking for? I'm looking for a mixer. Let's see, does this need to be stereo? Yep. And then there it is, input 1. And so we'll just go input 1 into here. And then instead of going directly to the output stage there, we'll come out of the mixer output. And boom, gain stage. All right, so let's get a level. I'm gonna just make these levels a little bit wider there in Pro Tools. That shortcut, by the way, if you ever want to know, that's a gangster shortcut. I love it. It's Control, Option, Command on a Mac. I'm pretty sure it's similar on the Windows. You just grab your corner of your keyboard like a bear claw, basically, and it freaking makes fat meters inside of Pro Tools. So that does come in handy for this, because I can eyeball it, and what I'm going for is that level right there when it starts to get into the what they call the yellow, you know, that on a, you know, on one of those VU meters, you know what I mean? That's like right at 0. It's like right at unity. So this is a perfect recording level, because then that's going to allow plenty of headroom to mix down, to mix these sounds. So ultimately that's what we want to do. Let's grab the mixer in the DAW and just get a nice level for all this. The kick is right on the money. The snare needs to be turned up. Actually at 100. All right, so let's go through our drum snapshots and level match. Should just be 1 through 4. And then let's go to 5 through 8. That's pretty much right on the money. Go to like 6. What if we go to 65? Yeah. Yeah. All right, so that's at what? 70, 73. So let's do a level match. I mean, and it can be in the neighborhood too. It looks like, you know, a couple of degrees really doesn't matter. Yeah. Killer. That is good levels. Now we can have plenty of room here in Pro Tools just to give it a good boost. And we're not clipping. We got plenty of headroom. Let's experiment with going a little louder on the kick. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Sounds great. And that's how it's done. That is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go ahead and add another couple of outputs here, and we'll grab this plate sound for the drums. So let's do that. And then we've already got the drums being mixed and sent into the plate. So we ought to be able to kill that mixer. And let's go ahead and save a new version. That's the thing to do. So have a stereo version of this rack and then have a multi-out version of this rack. So we're going to go save as Dangerous Drum Synth multi-out. I recommend you do the same if you are experimenting with creating multiple output racks in this manner, because yeah, you may want to just record stereo stuff or just listen to it or demo it. You know, you might just want to show it to someone or do whatever. So let's go into my trusty racks folder. I'm pretty sure I've found it. There we go. And now we have this saved. So we'll just grab this plate. For now, we'll leave this mixer alone. We might delete it later just to clean things up. But using our multi-out, we'll grab this plate sound, and then let's go ahead, set up a new track just to capture the plate. Reaktor vintage plate. That's cool. Let's make sure we don't have any there we go. So this is where I think it might be cool to actually have a dedicated plate for for the synth as well. Might as well. So let's check it out. Nano plate. If we just go nano reverb, what all do we got? Lots of stuff. Yeah. We go plate. It's a flavor. No, so we start getting into dedicated sounds like this. It starts to get a little hairy. And also, we're probably going to record more sorts of reverbs or have other sorts of reverb units. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about that for now. This is just what I need. And that's how it's done. That is how it's done, people. So what else can you do? It's good to get back. It's good to get back into doing things on Fridays. It's good to get back into doing just exploration of these different sounds, these different capabilities inside of Reaktor. I really like this environment. I really like being able to really quickly explore synth sounds and not bust the bank in terms of CPU usage and cool stuff like that. It might also be a valid use case since everything is synced, you know, to the tempo of the song, to actually separate these things onto their own tracks. And you may actually be able to save CPU usage that way by separating some of these, you know, some of these drum sounds and synth sounds and stuff like that into their own tracks. But if you've done something like this and you've created a monster drum synth sort of a thing, I find it useful to then go ahead and set it up to record it in a multiple output way. So that's what we've done here. And until next time.